close your eyes for a second. No phone, no streetlights, no hum of the refrigerator. Just you, the ground beneath you, and absolute total darkness, so complete you cannot tell if your eyes are open or shut. That was every single night for 300,000 years of human history, but nobody tells you what they actually did in that darkness. They weren't just lying there terrified waiting for sunrise. They were engineering their sleep, building the foundations of human culture, and experiencing a state of consciousness that most modern humans have never felt. A state so unusual that when scientists recreated it in a lab, subjects described it as close to euphoria. Tonight, we're going back into the dark. What our ancestors did out there is stranger, smarter, and more human than anything you've been taught. And by the end, you might never look at your 3 a.m. wake up the same way again. You are a human being 50,000 years ago. You are completely outclassed by the night. Your night vision is terrible. No claws, no fangs, and a top running speed that a motivated hyena finds amusing. Meanwhile, the things that want to eat you, cave lions, leopards, wolves, are almost all nocturnal. They get better at their jobs when the sun goes down. You get more vulnerable. So what do? First, you group up. There is no lone survival fantasy here. Isolated individuals died, groups lived, and sleeping together wasn't just warmth in Ice Age winters. Temperatures could kill an unprotected person within hours. Groups slept together because a cluster of people is a collective alarm system. Researchers believe the variation in sleep depth between individuals wasn't accidental. It was selected for. A group where everyone slept deeply was a group that got eaten. Evolution fixed that quietly and permanently. Second, caves. One entrance. You know exactly which direction danger comes from. You put your back to the wall and wait with something sharp in your hand. Premium real estate. Then, around 400,000 years ago, fire changed the equation entirely. A controlled fire creates a circle, roughly 9 meters across, inside which most large predators completely break down psychologically. They evolved to hunt in darkness. An open fire is an anomaly, a confusion. They won't cross it. Inside that circle, a species that should have been prey was, for the first time in the history of life on Earth, genuinely safe. But the bigger thing wasn't safety. Fire gave humans something no creature had ever had: extra hours. Before fire, the useful day ended at sunset, 8 hours in winter, maybe 12 in summer. Fire added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single night. And what did people do with those hours? They talked. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner tracked conversations among the Jew/Huanzi Bushmen of the Kalahari, one of the last groups living close to the original human lifestyle. During the day, 80% of conversation was practical. Who's hunting where, what needs gathering, ancient logistics. But at night, around the fire, 81% of conversation was storytelling. Long, layered, morally rich stories about ancestors, the world's creation, what it meant to be brave or generous or worth knowing. Every night for tens of thousands of years, humans sat around fires and narrated the world to each other. The campfire was the original cinema. The storyteller was the first creator, and this wasn't just entertainment. Stories were the hard drive of human civilization. Without writing, the tales told around fires at night were how values got transmitted across generations, how history survived, how identity was built in the dark. The better you were at storytelling, the higher your status. Turns out content creation is the oldest profession. Now here's where it gets genuinely strange. Assume healthy sleep means 8 hours continuous in a single block. That's the model. If you wake at 3 a.m. and lie there for an hour, something is wrong with you. That assumption is almost certainly wrong. Historian Roger E. Kirch spent 16 years going through historical records, diaries, court documents, medical texts, literature, spanning centuries and multiple cultures. What he found was hiding in plain sight. People didn't sleep in one block, they slept in two. First sleep began shortly after dark and lasted roughly 4 hours. Then people woke naturally, calmly. They stayed up for 1 to 2 hours, then back to sleep until dawn. This pattern was so unremarkable that historical writers mentioned it the way we mention breakfast. It showed up in Roman texts, medieval European diaries, African records, Homer's Odyssey. The quiet period between first and second sleep was called the watch, and it wasn't guards on a wall. It was ordinary people, awake in the middle of the night, doing ordinary things. They prayed, they tended the fire, they visited neighbors. A French physician in the 1500s specifically recommended this window for conceiving children because people were naturally relaxed and mentally alert. Then in 1992, 1902, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr ran the experiment that confirmed it. He took volunteers, removed all artificial light, and gave them 14 hours of darkness every night for a month. Exactly what our ancestors experienced. Within weeks, every single participant independently settled into the same pattern. 4 hours of sleep, 1 to 2 hours of calm wakefulness, 4 more hours of sleep. Nobody told them to do this. Their bodies just remembered. Wehr measured their hormone levels during the waking window and found something remarkable: elevated prolactin, the same hormone released during meditation. Participants described the state as peaceful, reflective, almost dreamlike while awake, a distinct mode of consciousness that sits between sleep and ordinary waking life. That state doesn't exist for most people anymore. We've compressed sleep under artificial light, pushed bedtime hours past sunset, and now when we wake at 3 a.m., we assume we're broken. You're not broken. Your body is running ancient software. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. Here's what most people don't know. Our ancestors engineered their sleep with sophistication that should embarrass us. At Border Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found sleeping platforms dating back 200,000 years. Not random piles of leaves, carefully constructed layers, grasses and reeds for cushioning, and beneath everything, a deliberate spread of ash, not accidental ash, intentional ash placed specifically under the bedding. Why? Ash repels insects, ticks, mites, fleas, the things that make sleep miserable and spread disease. Someone 200,000 years ago woke up itching, noticed the fire ash, made a connection, tested it, confirmed it worked, and taught it to the people around them. That is the scientific method, running in a prehistoric brain, applied to the problem of sleeping more comfortably. These weren't people barely enduring the night. They were solving it. One more thing. The night sky before we lit it up wasn't decoration. It was infrastructure. Polynesian navigators crossed thousands of miles of open Pacific in wooden canoes, finding pinpoint islands with no compass, no charts, no GPS. They did it at night, memorized star positions for hundreds of stars, read ocean swells through the hull with their bodies, tracked cloud formations above distant land. The night sky was their navigation system, more reliable in some ways than anything we carried before GPS. These were people who made darkness into a library and learned to read it fluently. Ancient humans didn't just survive the night, they owned it. They gathered around fires, shared the stories that became our culture, and practiced second sleep. They'd wake at 3 a.m. not to scroll, but to pray, think, and just be. They read the stars like a map. Then we invented the light bulb. In one generation, we flooded the dark away. The campfire, the silence, the connection to the sky, it all vanished. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you wake at 3 a.m., don't reach for your phone. Don't spiral. Just lie there and think. Be awake the way your ancestors were. You aren't malfunctioning. You're remembering. Drop a comment if you've ever felt that 3 a.m. clarity and what were you thinking about?